I sacrificed everything to help my wife achieve her dream of becoming a doctor. And when she graduated, she gave me divorce papers saying, "We are on different paths." When my wife graduated after studying medicine, I was proud. I had accompanied her through late-night study sessions, the stress of board exams, and the grueling routine of residency interviews. I helped cover the rent, bought the groceries, and held her hand through every nervous breakdown. I did not complain because I believed in us. But when she finally reached a point where she was earning more than me, something I thought we would celebrate, she took me completely by surprise. She filed for divorce. I said nothing and signed the papers. But 10 years later, she came back, and I gave her a taste of her own medicine. My name is Jerry. In my 20s, while most people around me were trying to get office jobs, or were still trying to figure out what to do with their lives, I was already running my own small computer hardware store. It was a few shelves of components and a constant hustle to keep up with demand. The business had its ups and downs, especially since technology prices could change overnight and some items barely made me a profit. But I knew the game and I played it smart. The money I earned mattered to me because I did not come from a wealthy family. So every small advance felt earned. I would not consider myself a businessman in the traditional sense, but I had drive. I understood that if I wanted stability, I had to create it for myself. I met Megan when she was a student, still pursuing her bachelor's degree, but already obsessed with the idea of becoming a doctor. It was something she had dreamed of since she was a little girl, and when she talked about it, you could tell she was passionate. At that time, I had already been supporting myself for a while. The income from my small business was not always predictable, but it allowed me to live comfortably. Megan and I started spending more time together. Our conversations were never superficial. She would talk for hours about everything, including her dream of being a doctor. I could see how much she wanted this, and I respected it. There was something inspiring in seeing someone chase a dream with that kind of intensity. I saw her as someone worth betting on. As the relationship grew, so did my involvement in her life. I saw how much pressure she was under, not just academically, but also financially. I knew she had access to student loans, but I also knew what those debts could do to someone in the long run. So I stepped in. I told her I would help cover what I could. I took on as much as possible because I wanted to ease her burden. In my mind, I thought that if I could help her build her dream now, we would build ours together later. I rationalized it as an investment, and at that moment it seemed like the safest bet I could make. She was dedicated, disciplined, and focused. She was completely committed, and so was I. I was there for her consistently. Whether it was with late-night pep talks before an exam, a surprise dinner when she was too stressed to cook, or discreetly covering a late bill so she would not have to worry. I was her stability, her unconditional support, the one person she never had to doubt, and I was proud of that. I truly believed that this was what love was, but back then I did not realize that sometimes, the more you give, the more some people feel entitled to keep taking. When Megan received her acceptance letter to medical school, it felt as if the whole world stopped for a moment. It was like she had just won the lottery, and in a way, she had. But for me, it was not just her victory, it was ours. All the study nights, the emotional support, the sacrifices we had both made up to that point. I finally felt that everything was going to be worth it. We were so proud, so full of hope, that we decided to get married shortly after. It was an intimate ceremony with a few close friends and family. There was no big hall or expensive cake, just a simple day that marked what we thought was the beginning of our forever. But once school started, everything changed. Medical school is no joke. I knew that from the beginning, but living it was something else entirely. Her days were packed with classes, rotations, and late-night study groups. She would leave before the sun came up and come home when I was already in bed. Sometimes she would even stay at a friend's house to save time. The little time we spent together felt empty. She was there, but her mind was not. She was always tired, emotionally distant, and barely had the energy to talk. I saw it only as a temporary phase and that she would recover. Meanwhile, our expenses were increasing. Her tuition, books, uniforms, exam fees, everything cost more than either of us expected. And since I had already promised her that I would support us as much as I could, I tried not to show the pressure. My business was already unpredictable, but I pushed harder. I took on more clients, stayed up late managing orders, tried new suppliers, anything to stretch our budget. There were times when I had to discreetly delay paying my own bills just to make sure she had what she needed. I did not want the stress of money to distract her. I thought, I am the one who said I would do this, so do it. And I genuinely believed that one day we would look back on those years, we would laugh about how hard it was, and we would be proud to have gotten through it. So I remained patient and loyal. I thought that once she graduated, things would finally calm down and she would have time again to reconnect. I believed our sacrifices would pay off, but I was wrong about many things. As Megan's graduation approached, I found myself thinking more and more about what would come next for us in terms of starting a family. So I started to bring it up. I would ask her things like, once you finish your residency, we should think about having kids. Or, have you thought about when we could start trying? But every time, Megan would nod distractedly or change the subject. She did not reject me outright, but she did not participate either. She could talk for hours about her career goals, her specialization plans, or the new doctor at her clinic who had just bought a car. But when it came to our future, there was a lack of emotion in her tone. Still, I did not insist. I wanted to believe that once she had that white coat officially in her hands, she would finally change her mind, that we would dream together again. But what I did not realize then was that I was giving space to someone who was already slowly approaching the door. Megan's graduation day arrived soon. I was genuinely proud. I had seen the work she had put in, the sleepless nights, the pressure, and all the sacrifices. I was in that crowd next to her parents, clapping louder than anyone, holding my phone to take pictures, making sure not to miss a second. That day I thought we had made it. I believed this was the beginning of the life we had been building for years. But less than a month after starting her residency, things took a sharp turn. One afternoon, she handed me an envelope. I thought maybe it was papers for her job or something she wanted me to review, but it was not. It was the divorce papers. At first I thought there had been some kind of mistake, but she was serious. I asked her why and all she said was, I have changed. We are on different paths now. I was speechless after everything. That was all she gave me. I could not even process what was happening. I did not eat properly for days. I replayed everything in my head. What could I have missed? What could I have done differently? But deep down I knew this was a decision she had made a long time ago. I was just the last to know. It took me a few days to find the strength to go talk to a lawyer. I told him everything. I wanted to fight for at least a portion of what I had invested in her life, but my lawyer was direct. Unless there is a written agreement stating that the money you gave was an investment or a loan, it will be difficult to get much. Still, I could not just let it go like that. Anyway, we took it to court. The judge acknowledged what I had sacrificed. He even made some comments during the hearing that suggested he sympathized with me. But the law is the law. And in the end, I was awarded a small compensation, just a fraction of what I had spent during those years. It did not even scratch the surface. I left that courtroom feeling empty because the person into whom I had poured my love, my time, and my future left as if none of it had ever mattered. After the divorce, I felt like I had nothing left. I had spent so much of myself that when everything fell apart, I did not even recognize who I was. I had to rebuild not only my finances, but also my sense of identity. I started to focus inward. I threw myself back into my work, not out of ambition, but out of necessity. I needed something to anchor me. I kept my social circle small. I was not interested in advice or pity. I just wanted to get out of the hole I was in. And over time, I did. The business recovered. I got back on my feet, but emotionally something in me had changed forever. I made a silent promise to myself. Never again would I give up my life under the illusion of love. I decided that I could be with someone, yes, but not legally marry or fully commit. I saw marriage differently now. It seemed less like a symbol of commitment and more like a trap, one that could turn against you the moment things changed. I was cautious. From that moment on, whenever I dated someone, I made it clear from the beginning. No legal marriage, no matter how good things felt. Many women did not like that. Some thought I was just scared or selfish. Others tried to change my mind, but I finally met someone who did not see it as a red flag. She had been through her own storms, carried her own pain, and was not interested in legal contracts either. We lived together, we planned our days together, and we shared the small joys. She only asked for honesty, and I gave it to her. In return, she gave me a peace that helped me heal. One quiet afternoon, I received a message from Megan on Facebook. It had been 10 years since the divorce. I stared at the notification for a while before opening it. It was a simple, "Hello, How have you been? As if we were old friends who had lost touch. I read it slowly and then replied. It started with harmless small talk, asking how my life had been, if I was still in the computer hardware business, telling me she saw something online that reminded her of me. I could already guess where this was all going. People do not contact you like that unless they are coming back to look for something. Then she changed the subject. She said she had been thinking a lot and that she missed what we had, that despite everything, she still believed we had something real. She called me the most stable man she had ever been with and said she admired how I always supported her during medical school. She said it as if she were offering me a compliment. I had no idea what to say to all this, but I asked her what she wanted from me. Then she said something that made me laugh. She said, I always thought you never remarried because deep down you were waiting for me. That told me everything I needed to know. After all these years, her worldview still had her at the center. She thought I had been stuck in time, frozen like a tragic figure who never moved on. She did not even consider the possibility that I could have healed, grown, and built something better without her. I kept my response short. I just said, you were wrong to assume that. Later I found out through my inquiries how things had gone for her. It turns out that after our divorce, she started to pursue a very different kind of life. She dated ostentatious men, the wealthy and successful type, guys who had no problem taking her out, spending money, and sleeping with her, but none of them saw her as a long-term partner. They were fine with something casual, not with commitment. That pattern continued for years. She finally married again, this time to a man who earned much less than her. From what I was told, he cheated on her regularly, mainly with younger women. When everything blew up, she was the one who had to pay him alimony, because by then she was already making good money as a doctor. The same woman who left me, saying we were on different paths, ended up financially supporting a man who betrayed her at every turn. I did not feel pity either. If anything, it just confirmed what I already knew. Life has a way of bringing the truth back to people when they least expect it, and when it does not need anyone's help. I did not close the door on Megan the moment she contacted me, although I could have. I had every reason to, but instead I let her talk and apologize. I did not make it easy for her, but I did not block her either. She tried to sound casual, but she could not quite hide the urgency. And the more she contacted me, the clearer everything became. She seemed to be afraid of being alone, afraid that she had thrown away the only man who had truly been there for her. And now, with time running out, she was trying to come back at all costs. She did not say it directly, but I caught her slipping in little comments like, I do not want to spend my life alone. It is scary to think about retirement and not having someone there. You were always the stable one. She was not coming back because she missed me. She missed the security, the stability, the version of me that would have bent over backwards for her. So I made a decision. I did not forgive or forget, but I decided to be her mirror. I played her game, the one she played with me during our marriage. I let her chase me. I gave her just enough attention to keep her hopeful. A few dry responses here and there. A half-hearted, maybe we could talk soon. I knew what I was doing, and deep down I knew she knew it too, but she stayed hooked. For months, I let her try to recover something that I had already buried. She would ask if I was still with someone. I would tell her it was complicated. It was not. I was in a solid relationship with a woman who respected me, but I let Megan believe there was a crack in the door. I let her believe she could get back in, and every day she hoped a different version of me would appear. I gave her the same cold distance I once felt every night while she immersed herself in her career. Then, one morning, after about a month of playing with her emotions, I woke up and decided to crush her feelings. I sent her a message and told her that our divorce was not the end of something good. It was the beginning of something necessary. Losing her forced me to face myself, to rebuild, to grow. I told her I found peace and that I had no interest in reopening doors that life had already closed forever. She exploded almost immediately. First came the emotional blackmail. She sent a long message full of passive-aggressive phrases like, I cannot believe you would do this after everything we had. And, so you were just playing with me all this time. Then came the accusations that I used her, that I gave her false hope, and that I was no better than the men who had hurt her after me. The irony was not lost on me. 10 years ago, she left me as if I were disposable. Now, the simple fact that I had moved on was somehow a betrayal to her. At first I ignored it. I thought that if I did not give her any rope she would get tired and stop, but it only got worse. She started messaging me at all hours, tagging me in posts, messaging mutual friends trying to get their sympathy. She even sent a message to my partner, subtly hinting that I had been talking to her behind her back. That is when I knew this was no longer just emotional confusion. It was harassment. I did what she probably never expected. I hired a lawyer. I had my lawyer draft and send her a cease and desist letter, formally warning her to stop her behavior or face legal consequences. Then I blocked her on all platforms. I did not owe her an audience. When I finally closed the door completely, I sat down and really thought about what had just happened. I did not expect her to come back after all this time. But once she did, and I saw how she tried to get back into my life as if nothing had happened, a part of me felt like letting her chase shadows for a while. This time she was the one left looking in from the outside. Now I spend my time with someone who respects my boundaries and does not make love seem like a gamble. The Megan chapter is permanently closed.